All right, so today we're taking a deep dive into the seriously strange world of the giant anteater. I mean, how often do you come across an animal that looks like it was designed by committee?
You're not wrong there. They're definitely one of a kind.
We've got this essay here, it's packed with info. And trust me, there are some seriously surprising things about these creatures. Ready to jump in?
Always am. Giant anteaters are like a walking lesson in how evolution can produce the most specialized creatures. I mean, talk about niche living.
Yeah, so this essay says they can get up to 7 feet long, tail included. That's what, longer than most couches?
It's true, they're the biggest of all the anteater species, and size is really just the beginning when you're talking about how strange these guys are. Like their tongues.
Their tongues?
Yeah, 2 feet long, easy.
2 feet? I mean, what's the point of having a tongue that long?
That tongue is their whole world. It's sticky, covered in spines that face backwards, and it can flick like 150 times a minute.
Hold on, spines. So it's like a sticky, spiky conveyor belt for ants.
Pretty much. Each flick brings in a massive amount of insects. They need that to keep their big bodies going. And you know what else? They don't have many teeth.
No teeth. At all. How do they even eat?
Their stomach muscles do all the work, like a built-in grinder, kind of like how birds use grit.
Wild. Okay, so looks-wise, their fur is also pretty strange, right? Like a mix of gray, brown, and black. And then there's that stripe.
That's almost stylish in a weird way.
That's all about camouflage. Helps them blend in. They live everywhere. Grasslands, rainforests, you name it.
So they're not picky eaters. Indeed, they can live pretty much anywhere. That's impressive. But they're not totally defenseless, are they? I mean, those claws look pretty serious.
They're multi-purpose for sure. Ripping open ant nests, yeah. But if a predator comes along, they're a pretty good weapon too.
I bet. What kind of predators do they even have to worry about?
Jaguars, pumas, big snakes. Especially dangerous for the young ones.
Oh, right, of course.
But the adults, they can rear up on their hind legs, use their tail for balance, and just slash out with those claws. Whoa, so they're not just gentle giants then. They got some fight in them.
Absolutely.
Huh. And you know what else is weird? They walk on their knuckles.
Right. It looks so strange.
Why would they do that?
All about protecting those claws, got to keep them sharp for digging and defense. It's crucial for their survival.
Makes sense when you put it like that.
Yeah.
Okay, food time. This essay says they can eat up to 30,000 insects a day. How is that even possible?
Well, that tongue we talked about, obviously, but also their sense of smell is crazy good, like 40 times stronger than ours.
Wow, so they can sniff out ants and termites from miles away.
Pretty much.
But wouldn't eating that much from one nest just destroy it?
That's the thing, they don't.
They don't.
Nope, they take just enough and then move on. It lets the colony recover.
So they're actually helping to keep the insect population balanced. That's amazing.
They're considerate eaters, you could say.
I love these deep dives. You learn so much. It's not just facts. It's about understanding how nature actually works.
I agree. They might seem simple at first glance, but the more you learn about them, the more you realize how complex these creatures really are.
So, size, tongue, claws, defense mechanisms, ecosystem balancers. What's next on our list?
Let's look at their habitat and distribution. Remember, they live all over Central and South America.
All right, let's explore that. And what about their social lives? Are they loners or do they hang out in groups?
Let's find out. It's all right here in the essay.
Okay, so we were talking about how adaptable giant anteaters are, right? Living in all these different environments.
Oh yeah, grasslands, rainforests, even wetlands. They don't seem to mind.
But it all comes back to food, doesn't it? Like,
yeah,
there have to be enough ants and termites to keep them going.
absolutely. Ants and termites are like the ultimate survivors, right? They're everywhere.
Yeah, they're definitely not going extinct anytime soon.
So as long as the anteaters have a steady supply of those, they're pretty much good to go.
Makes sense. But are they all just crowded around the same anthill? What's their social life like?
You know what? They're actually pretty solitary, most of the year anyway. They've got these big home ranges that they wander around in looking for food.
Like solo missions all the time?
Yeah, pretty much. They only really come together to mate.
So much for giant anteater parties, huh?
No big gatherings, just a lot of alone time.
That's got to make raising a family a little tricky,
Mm-hmm.
especially since this essay mentions they only have one baby at a time.
Right, that's part of why they're facing conservation challenges. Low reproductive rate. It's just one pup per birth, usually.
One pup, all alone. Sound like a tough life.
It has its challenges, sure. But, you know, nature's pretty smart. They've got a long gestation period, like 190 days.
Wait, 190 days? That's even longer than a human pregnancy.
It is. Gives the pup plenty of time to develop before it's born.
So they're pretty ready to go when they enter the world, huh?
Yeah, relatively speaking. But they still need mom. For the first few months, they cling to her back and ride around.
Ah, that's adorable. Like a little backpack.
It is. And it keeps them safe, hidden by mom's fur.
Plus, easy access to snacks.
Exactly. Mom provides protection, transport, and a constant supply of pre-chewed ants and termites.
What a life. Talk about an all-inclusive vacation. How long do they even live, by the way?
In the wild, about 14 years on average, but in captivity, they can live longer.
That's a lot of ants.
A whole lot of ants.
Sadly, not all of them get to live that long. We mentioned earlier they're classified as vulnerable, right?
Yeah, by the IUCN, that means they face a high risk of extinction. Habitat loss, wildfires, those are big problems. And then you've got road accidents and hunting, too.
Let's talk about those, because those are tough issues. Habitat loss, that seems like the most urgent. How is that impacting them?
Well, humans are expanding, right?
Yeah.
Cutting down forests, building things. All of that takes away space from the anteaters.
Yeah, makes it harder to find food, mates, all of that.
Exactly. It's not just about losing land, it's about disrupting the whole ecosystem.
And wildfires, those are getting worse too, aren't they? Climate change and all that.
Absolutely. They can just wipe out huge areas so quickly. Even if the anteaters survive, their food sources might be gone.
Heartbreaking. What about those road accidents? Are we literally running them over?
Yeah, more roads mean more chances for them to get hit. They're slow, they cross roads looking for food or mates. It's a real problem.
It's a reminder that our actions have consequences, even unintended ones. We're literally driving them towards extinction.
It's a tough reality to face. And then there's hunting, still happening in some places.
I don't get it. Why would anyone hunt an anteater? They seem harmless enough.
It depends on the region, sometimes for their fur, sometimes for meat or supposed medicinal uses.
Huh. It's hard to imagine. So it's a complicated problem, but are there any solutions? Anything being done to help them?
Yes, definitely. There are people and organizations working really hard to protect them.
That's good to hear. What are they doing? What's working?
Well, habitat conservation is huge, setting aside protected areas where they can thrive.
Like giving them safe havens.
Exactly. Places where they're free from human interference.
And what else?
Raising awareness is key, educating people about why they're important.
Yeah, if people understand, they might be more likely to help.
Exactly. It's about fostering a sense of stewardship. And it's not just about local communities, it's about everyone.
You mean even people far away can make a difference?
Absolutely. Supporting sustainable practices, reducing our carbon footprint.
All of that has a ripple effect.
Exactly. Every little thing we do matters.
What about those road accidents? Any solutions for that?
Yeah, there are some cool ideas out there, like wildlife corridors, tunnels under or over roads.
So they can cross safely.
Exactly. And some places are using speed bumps and warning signs, too.
That's smart. And the hunting problem? Any progress there?
It's tough, but some areas are strengthening law enforcement to stop poaching, and some are doing community outreach, educating people about the laws and offering alternative livelihoods.
So it's about education, enforcement, and giving people other options.
Exactly. It takes a multi-pronged approach.
It's inspiring to see people fighting for them, even with all these challenges. It really is. It gives us hope for the future of the giant anteater.
This deep dive has been eye-opening. They're so fascinating, but they're facing so much.
They are, but they've got a lot going for them, too.
Yeah.
Unique adaptations, a vital role in the ecosystem.
And they need our help.
They do.
Yeah.
We need to be good stewards of this planet.
Absolutely.
Well, ready for the final part of our deep dive.
Bring it on. Let's wrap things up with some of those amazing anteater stories you were talking about. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the giant anteater, their adaptations, how they fit into the ecosystem, the threats they face, but I feel like there's still so much more to uncover. What about those intriguing facts and stories you mentioned earlier?
Oh, yeah, there's plenty more to learn about these guys. For example, even though they're mostly solitary, they do have some interesting interactions with other species.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, their habitat's full of other creatures. Some are friendly, some not so much.
Right, we talked about jaguars and pumas being a threat. Are there any other animals they have to watch out for? Yeah. Besides the big cats, large snakes can be a problem too, especially for the young ones.
Oh, right, of course. But they're not totally helpless, are they? We talked about those claws and how they can rear up.
They've got another trick up their sleeve too.
Mhm.
They can hiss, like a really loud hiss or growl.
A hiss. Seriously?
Yep, it can startle predators and give them a chance to escape.
Wow, that's not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
I guess you never really know what these creatures are capable of.
There's always more to discover. It's why protecting these ecosystems is so important.
Totally agree. So besides avoiding predators, What other kinds of interactions do they have?
Well, they've been known to share termite mounds with other anteater species, like tamanduas. Those are the smaller ones.
Oh, interesting. Do they ever fight over the termites?
Not really. They seem pretty tolerant of their smaller relatives. Like they understand there's enough to go around.
Now, that's a lesson we could all learn. Okay, so we talked about their role in keeping ant and termite populations balanced. Anything else they do that benefits their environment?
They're burrows,
The
actually.
sparrows.
Yeah, they dig these big underground tunnels, and they can provide shelter for other animals like armadillos and opossums.
So they're like accidental landlords.
Pretty much. And all that digging helps aerate the soil, too, which is good for plants and everything else.
Wow, it's amazing how these little things can have such a big impact.
It really shows how interconnected everything is. And speaking of interconnectedness, giant anteaters have also played a role in human culture, like folklore and stuff.
Oh, that's cool. Tell me more about that.
In some indigenous cultures, they're seen as a symbol of strength, resilience, even a connection to the earth.
Wow, powerful stuff.
There are stories about them being able to communicate with spirits, even heal the sick.
It's fascinating how differently we view the world, isn't it?
It is. It shows how deeply connected we are to the natural world.
And it's a reminder to respect it, protect it.
Especially now with all the challenges these animals are facing.
You're right, we can't forget that. We're not just visitors here, we're part of this whole system.
You're right.
This deep dive has been a real journey. I've learned so much. It's made me even more passionate about conservation.
That's great to hear. It's been a pleasure sharing this with you and with everyone listening.
Absolutely. Hopefully it'll inspire people to learn more, maybe even take action, no matter how small.
That's the goal, right? Turn knowledge into positive change.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, I think that about wraps up our deep dive into the world of the giant anteater. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey.
It's been a pleasure. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep being amazed by this incredible planet of ours.